How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me today. It's Hearts, it's midweek, there's major points on the board, and Celtic are missing key players. This is not going to be an easy one. So before I get into today's preview, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far. We surpassed 4,000 subs during the week there, so thank you very much for that. If you're not subscribed, do hit the subscribe button below, like the video so more people can see them, and leave a comment as well. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game coming up this evening. So I think the first reason that people are worried about this game is, firstly, it is a key game. Celtic have this game, the Dundee United game at the weekend, before the Rangers game next week. So it is absolutely key that Celtic get all 3 points. But the main reason people are worried is the starting lineup. Celtic are missing key players. Cal McGregor, Ideguchi, Rogic, Maeda, Kyogo, all probably missing for this game. Maeda and Rogic definitely missing through international. So Celtic are not going to have a full strength 11 against Hearts. But if you look back at the 3 games that Celtic have played Hearts so far this season, 2 of them wins. I think we should take more hope from the starting 11 that we're going to be able to put out on the field this evening. Let's start with the opening day defeat team. So this team is absolutely nothing compared to what the team is at the minute. Celtic started with Scott Bain in goals, Starfelt coming in for his first game, Beaton playing at centre back, Sorrow playing midfield, Edouard playing up front. Nowhere near the team that Celtic have at the minute. Let's move on to the cup team. The 3-2 win for Celtic. Kyogo pushed out to the left hand side. I know a lot of fans weren't keen on that. Edouard was still playing up front and Stephen Welsh was playing centre back for Celtic. And then the most recent game is the more accurate reading on where Celtic are going to be. The closest thing to our starting lineup. Stephen Welsh still playing centre back, but this was the strongest team that Celtic had against Hearts, and it was the game that Celtic were the most dominant against Hearts. Some of the key stats from that game: Celtic had an XG of over 2.75, so the one goal in the game, Kyogo's goal, that caused all that fuss, that was actually a flattering 1-0 win for Celtic against Hearts. Hearts came out lucky that they didn't concede more in that game. Celtic were absolutely dominant. And then there's a couple of more key stats in this that I want to return to when I give my starting 11. The starting 11 that I think Celtic should go for this evening is Hart in goal, Juranovic at right back, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Starfelt in the middle, and I will go with Liam Scales as the left back. The reason being, and I'll take you back to that 1-0 win against Hearts, if you look at the accurate passes for Hearts here, Hearts had 197 passes, 66 of those were long balls, so just under 30% of Hearts' passes in that game were long balls over the top, trying to get in behind Starfelt like they did in the first game of the season when they beat Celtic, and trying to put Celtic under pressure higher up the pitch. Liam Scales brings an added bit of physicality beside Starfelt. He's taller than Greg Taylor, and I just think that extra physicality comes in handy in these tight games, especially in the likes of Tynecastle, where it's going to be a tough game. There's going to be long balls over the top. I think that Liam Scales deals with those better than Greg Taylor does, and plus he can swing in a ball. I think he's shown that at the weekend with his assist for Giacomakis' first goal. So I think Liam Scales should start a left back over Greg Taylor. I personally think Greg Taylor will start, but I would go with Liam Scales. The midfield is an interesting one because this is probably where Celtic are the weakest tonight, with Cal McGregor out injured, Ideguchi out injured. You're not going to start James McCarthy in a game of this magnitude. I just don't think he's good enough for this level anymore. Nir Beaton will come in as the centre offensive midfielder. I think he has a good range of passing that can possibly open up some space for Celtic, and defensively, if he doesn't switch off, he's actually quite strong there. So Nir Beaton will be the centre defensive midfielder. Hatate will be the box-to-box. I think in his first game he showed what he's capable of, and I think that's the player that Hearts will be most worried about monitoring in the midfield is Rio Hatate. I think he could be a really key player for Celtic this evening. And then I do think Matt O'Reilly will come in for his first start as the sort of attacking midfielder, the Rogic role or the Turnbull role. I think he'll come in there. He has been told by Ange, and he has been speaking in the press conferences, that he has been told to be ready to start at any point in time for Celtic. And I think previous players that have come in, the likes of Hatate, Ideguchi, and Maeda and Kyogo and Starfelt, they've come into the team and they've started straight away. So I think Matt O'Reilly should be and will be ready to start as the centre attacking midfielder. And then up front, I think you're going with Giacomakis. In the middle with Jota on the left starting from the very beginning, and then Forrest on the right hand side. Moving from the left to the right, I think Forrest is more appropriate on the right for Celtic tonight. Then Abada, who picked up a knock at the weekend, and I do think James Forrest adds a little bit more defensive attributes to Celtic's right-hand side, especially given the fact that Barry Mackay is Hearts' most dangerous player this year. Tony McLaughlin highlighted this in his stats in his preview. He is the player that has the most expected assists for Hearts so far this year. 4.76 is his expected assists so far this year. That's 36% of Hearts' overall output in creating chances. So Barry Mackay is someone Celtic will have to look out for. And since he plays on that side, I think it's better to have James Forrest on that side than Abada, because he just adds that little bit more defensive solidity to Celtic. Now, am I worried about this game? I am a little bit worried about this game, mainly due to the fact that if Celtic win this, and if they win against Dundee United, against Rangers next week, they can go within 1 point if they win the derby. So that's why I'm worried about this game. Overall, I'm not actually that worried about the quality that Hearts will bring. I think they'll put Celtic under pressure at times. I think they'll lump balls forward. They'll try get in behind the Celtic defence. But overall, Celtic have controlled all three of the games, despite losing the first game of the season. That's past us. That was way back when Ange had just taken the team. They were playing a weird formation. Scott Bain was playing in goals. I think that game is irrelevant. The game that Celtic lost to Hearts is actually irrelevant to this fixture, because Celtic are so much further down the road than they were at that point in time. Things that I would like to see from Celtic this evening. Well, first of all, I want to see Celtic scoring early. That's what I want to see them doing. Against Hibs, I wanted to see Celtic scoring early. They scored within the first 3 minutes. That was an important goal when it came down to it. Celtic were able to weather the storm. And more importantly, they were able to let Hibs play whatever sort of game plan they had without worrying about whether they were going to score. They were able to just sit back, relax, take the foot off the gas a little bit, and let Hibs control the game if they want to. Now, I don't think Hearts will control the game in the same way that Hibs did in terms of possession, but Celtic can pass the ball around, and if they get the goal early, that takes the pressure off the likes of Matt O'Reilly, who'll be in for his debut, or Beaton, who's playing centre defensive midfield. Celtic will be under pressure at times this evening, so if they can get an early goal, the defence has shown that it's strong enough to weather most storms. So the first thing that I want to see is Celtic scoring early. The second thing that I'm looking forward to is Matt O'Reilly. I cannot wait to see him in action. I'm as excited for Matt O'Reilly as I was for Hatate last week, and Hatate certainly didn't disappoint with his performance. So if Matt O'Reilly can come in, be composed on the ball, show that he is better than a League One player, show that he's ready to play for Celtic, I think that's all we can expect from him. Do the simple things right, and the good things will come later on. I think at the minute, you're hoping that Celtic don't concede any goals. So you're hoping that Matt O'Reilly can keep the ball, control the pace of the game. And if he can get forward and create, that's what you're hoping from him this evening. So I think we have a really exciting player on our hands. If he can step up his performance from League One to the SPFL, I think he's going to be really exciting to watch. And I think it's going to be good to see whether he's able to replace Tom Rogic. If he's good enough to replace Tom Rogic, who's away on international duty, if we're not reliant on Rogic, if we're not reliant on Turnbull, the more strength and depth that we have, the better it is for Celtic. So I'm looking forward to see Matt O'Reilly as well. The third thing that I'm looking to see is defensive solidity. Now, this is going to be vitally important this evening. If Celtic can score early, if Celtic can control the game, it's easier for the defence to be a little bit more composed, but they're going to come under pressure against Hearts. They're going to face long balls. I want to see Starfelt deal with them. That's what I'm hoping he can do. He's had a couple of good games in a row now. If he can gain confidence from them, keep building on his performances, and keep the confidence going, then Celtic have a really strong defence, the best in the league so far. Now, I do think Starfelt will come under pressure. All I want to see him doing is the basic stuff. He can be a little bit nervy on the ball at times, and I just hope that he wins his duels, gets the ball, plays the ball simply, and lets the other players do the good things that they can do with the ball, rather than him trying to do too much in it. Keep it simple and keep it basic. Win your own battles. That's what I want to see from Carl Starfelt. What do you think about the game this evening? Who do you think should start? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Celtic are going to win? I really hope so. We will have post-match reaction to this game on the channel later on. Let's hope it's to a Celtic win. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll chat to you later. Good luck.